Mercedes has no regrets over its Budapest decision, while Aston Martin is set to appeal its disqualification. You can now watch full 24-minute episodes of The Inside Line at our official home on unbeaten.com. Mercedes has defended its decision to keep Sir Lewis Hamilton out on the intermediates at the Hungarian Grand Prix red flag restart, despite the Brit telling the squad the track was completely dry. Hamilton was the only one on the grid at the restart, while the rest of the field pitted for slicks. But team boss Toto Wolff said the team did the right thing, even though the gamble didn't pay off. As a leading car, it's always difficult to take the decision, he said. And if you're the only one pitting, then you come out last. And there is also the difficulty of getting out of the pit stand because everybody's pitting. Hamilton stopped the next lap for the hard tyres and dropped to the back, from which he fought his way to the podium. Aston Martin is set to appeal its four-time F1 world champion Sebastian Vettel's disqualification from the Hungarian Grand Prix, despite the team unable to extract the required 1-litre fuel sample post-race. Vettel stopped out on track after taking the checkered flag due to a fuel pump failure, which Aston Martin also alleges prevented it from extracting more than 300 millilitres of fuel when 1.74 litres was available. I can confirm an intent to appeal, team boss Otmar Szafnauer said. So once we learn more, then if we have grounds, we will appeal, and if not, we'll drop it. But we have 96 hours. Vettel's AMR 21 has since been impounded by the FIA, with the car set to be transported to a technical facility in France for further checks. Great Brit George Russell remains on edge about his immediate future, with a decision on whether he's leaving Williams for Mercedes expected within the next few weeks. Russell, a Mercedes protege, has impressed at Williams right from his debut in 2019, but cemented his star quality at last year's Sakir Grand Prix, in which he replaced a COVID-affected Sir Lewis Hamilton, and would have won the race for the Silver Arrows if not for a botched pit stop and puncture that left him 9th at the flag. But while it seems logical that he'll replace an underperforming Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes from 2022, Russell says the next few weeks will no doubt be tough going as he awaits news. These things are never an easy process for any driver and any team, regardless if they're moving or staying with the same team. There's always a lengthy process, he said. Russell is driving for Mercedes this week as part of a 2022 tyre test. Two-time F1 world champion Mika Hkkinen has backed Valtteri Bottas's talent and said that he doesn't get enough credit for the job he's done at Mercedes in pushing teammate Sir Lewis Hamilton. Häkkinen, who won his world titles back-to-back with McLaren in '98 and '99, is now part of Bottas's management team, but has been left impressed by his countryman's inner strength. It has been unbelievable to watch how calm, controlled and determined Valtteri has remained, how hard he has continued to work despite the challenge and easy criticisms, he said. Bottas has earned 9 wins since he joined Mercedes in 2017, but is yet to take victory this year, with the top-line fight between Hamilton and Red Bull's Max Verstappen. And Häkkinen, who is negotiating hard for Bottas to stay with the Silver Arrows into 2022, says Hamilton's caliber speaks for itself.
I don't have to say that, talking about 7 times world champion, that requires enormous commitment towards the Formula One, towards the team, what he's racing at. So he has done fantastic work. And looking at the number of victories, what he's been having, that already indicates that way to beat that record gonna be very, very difficult.
Alpine has confirmed its facilities have now switched over to 2022, though there are some parts still to come, despite Esteban Ocon's impressive maiden win at the Hungarian Grand Prix. The A521, which is an evolution of last year's Renault RS20 that scored 3 podiums, began the season well behind on development following wind tunnel issues, but the squad clawed back performance with a raft of aerodynamic updates. It's been a big push from the start of the season, with both Enstone and Viry working hard to develop the car, said Alpine Executive Director Marcin Budkowski. Bahrain is set to again host Formula One's season opener in 2022, along with pre-season testing, though it's understood there will also be a test at Spain's Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Manama's iconic desert track hosted pre-season testing this year for the first time since 2014, though it was limited to just 3 days in order to contain costs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. F1's new era cars, though, will require a far more extensive shakedown, with 2 3-day tests agreed, expected to take place in Barcelona on February 23 to 25, before flying out to Bahrain, where the 10 teams may remain until the first race, which has been penciled in for March 20. It's understood that the teams may also be given extended running time for filming days, with the sport keen to up the current 100-kilometer limit and use racing tires for more reflective promotional material. MotoGP host Qatar is on the cusp of reaching a deal with F1 for its Losail track to replace the now vacant Australia slot, ensuring the final 3 races of the year are in the Middle East. Qatar has long been MotoGP's season opener, but plans for F1 have not progressed in the past, with Bahrain and Abu Dhabi in place. Qatar and the UAE are currently on the United Kingdom's red list. That means that a 14-day hotel quarantine is required upon return, but Saudi Arabia is not. So the sport could dodge quarantine with a triple header that starts in Qatar or Abu Dhabi and ends in Saudi Arabia, which is set to host its first ever event on the streets of Jeddah. The return of F1 to Zandvoort is once again under threat, with the Dutch government banning large-scale events for this month and a decision set to be made on August 13. The world continues to grapple with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the highly infectious Delta variant, which has forced the Netherlands to extend its ban on events following a recent increase in cases. The Dutch Grand Prix, scheduled for September, is dependent on a full crowd to make it financially viable. All the ingredients are there for an instant classic if and when it can take place, as Ambassador Max Verstappen said in 2019.
The track itself is very challenging. There are not many runoff areas, and for the track to come back on the calendar next year will be amazing, because you will see a lot of orange in the dunes, so they will fill it up.
Formula One could return to running screaming engines in the future, with McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown stating sustainability, not sound, is the most important factor for sponsors in the regulations. F1 is set to introduce a new power unit from 2025, but while it's expected to largely be based on the sport's current 1.6-litre V6 engine with multiple energy recovery systems and run on biofuel, F1's power brokers haven't ruled out a switch to a high-revving engine as part of plans for a powerful and emotive experience, which Brown says won't create a sponsor exodus. You can get there a variety of different ways, and I do not think sponsors, as long as Formula One is sustainable, are concerned over how you get to sustainability, he said. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff, however, has railed against screaming engines, with the road car industry moving to all-electric. Former Ferrari team manager Daniele Ordetto has hailed the late great 3-time F1 world champion Niki Lauda as an incredible man, with this week marking 45 years since his fiery crash at the Nürburgring. Ordetto oversaw Lauda's care following his infamous crash at the 1976 German Grand Prix, in which he sustained extensive burns and inhaled toxic fumes and fire extinguisher powder. But the Italian, speaking to F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid, is still in awe of Lauda's comeback just 6 weeks later, at Ferrari's home event at Monza, in which he finished fourth.
Was something that you have to live these moments to understand how good, how determined, how strong was Niki Lauda. Niki Lauda was not only a champion, because of course he won 3 World Championships, but was an incredible man. He was controlling inside him not only the emotion but the strength, because you can imagine that 40 days before he had the last wrist and he was fourth in Monza. It's unbelievable.
Lauda died peacefully in his sleep in May 2019, aged 70, following a period of ill health that included lengthy hospital stays for a double lung transplant and flu infection. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.